Well folks, it may have only been a few days, but we have a smorgasbord of new information for Jurassic World Rebirth. We've got new images, potential new dinosaurs, potential new plot points, and a lot to speculate about, as you'll see very soon. Before we dig in, of course there are spoilers ahead, and on that topic very quickly, just to clarify, if you see a certain dinosaur in the thumbnail of a video, it does not mean that video is about that dinosaur. I need dinosaurs for the thumbnails just to make the thumbnails look okay, but I don't want to give spoilers away in the thumbnails for things that aren't officially confirmed. If something is official, it'll be right there in the title, it'll be right there in the thumbnail, but I'm trying not to spoil things for people who are avoiding these videos and want to go into the film as blind as possible. That said, let's get started. Our first images for today come to us via Trapop Songkul Pakdi, and I'm really sorry if I butchered your name. This is somebody living over in Thailand, and they posted these two great photos over on the Jurassic Park Facebook group. These were then shared to Twitter, and that's how I saw them, via Blaken, i.e. Michael Elia, who you may well know. They've got a very popular Jurassic-focused YouTube channel. Let's take a look at these brand new images. Now, I say brand new, but you may just recognize them. This is alternate views of something we saw quite a long time ago. We saw this Parasaurolophus lying down by this riverbank. It was the first, and until today, only dinosaur confirmed to be appearing in Jurassic World Rebirth. And the really interesting thing about it is that it's a Jurassic World Dominion design. We know we're back in South America, we're back on an InGen controlled island, and yet we've got a Dominion style Parasaurolophus. That's really interesting. However, story-wise, we may now know why. So we actually have a second image, a closer look at this parasaur. And as you may be able to spot at the top of the head there and sort of halfway down the skull as well, there's a blood spatter. This is an injured, possibly dead Parasaurolophus. That could mean basically nothing. It could just be a dead parasaur. Maybe we see it being hunted, maybe we see it being fed upon, just like in Jurassic Park 3. But what's interesting is that it's dying and that it's a Dominion design. And we know this film is a rebirth. It's kind of it's not a reboot for the franchise, but it is curtailing a lot of what happened in Jurassic World Dominion and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in particular. It is kind of resetting things somewhat. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the week. But we know from the synopsis that's the case. So what better way to signify that change, that kind of rebirth of the franchise, than by killing off one of the emblematic dinosaurs off the recent films. Okay, you're gonna have to bear with me and trust me a little bit on this one. This information is all verifiable, it's out there on the internet already now, it can't be scrubbed away. But we're gonna discuss a toy line, and toy companies are notorious for being very aggressive with copyright and stuff like that. So I'm not naming any names, I'm not naming any companies, I'm not naming any websites. I'm just gonna say that over the last few days we got verification of two different types of dinosaur coming to Jurassic World Rebirth. The information is out there if you want to go find it for yourselves. I am not going to link to it or talk about it directly in any way. You have to trust me that I'm not making this up, because I don't really dabble in rumour on this channel at all. I prefer to give you the facts, or at least verifiable information. So you're just gonna have to trust me. But that is about as far as I'm gonna say in terms of where the information came from. I can confirm, at least based on this information, that Velociraptor will be appearing in Jurassic World Rebirth. Now that is obvious, right? Like, that's not really new information per se, because of course Velociraptor is going to appear in the film. However, I will say I'm not 100% convinced that T-Rex is going to appear in the film. It is in the logo, but that's kind of the logo for the series. They even got rid of the Spinosaurus in the Jurassic Park 3 logo. It would still be a surprise, but I'm less convinced by it than I am by the raptors. At the end of the day, we're back on the Five Deaths, or at least on a adjacent island. We're in that sort of tropical South American region on an island. It would have been a surprise if the Velociraptors didn't make a reappearance. What form those raptors take is much more up for debate. Of course, there's four different styles of raptor knocking around on these islands. It's been a long time since we saw those classic ones, but could they come up with something else new entirely? Either way, Velociraptor is back. That would be our second confirmed dinosaur for Jurassic World Rebirth. So we've got the Parasaurolophus, at least in corpse form, and we've got the Velociraptor. However, we did find out about something else. So we know there is and I'm going to inverted commas this, villain dinosaur appearing in the film. Now, why have they obscured that? Is it because it's something we recognize? Is it because it's a returning villainous dinosaur, like, for example, the Spinosaurus, which is highly rumored, or the Giganotosaurus, or indeed the Tyrannosaurus Rex? The thing is, we already know Velociraptor has been listed as Velociraptor, so would villainous dinosaur be obscured in that way? Or would the fact that villain dinosaur not being a specific genus maybe suggest that it's a new one altogether, that it's something we haven't seen before? You would imagine if it was the Spinosaurus, you would imagine if it was the Giga, you would imagine if it was the Rex, that it would say that dinosaur. That's a little bit speculative, I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but it is interesting that it's listed as villain dinosaur, whereas Velociraptor was Velociraptor. Either way, I'm going to try. I don't like the term villain dinosaur, but I love Jurassic Park 3, so, you know, I'm kind of half and half with that. I think you could posit even the Rex in The Lost World as villain dinosaur, and I don't think people would have too much of an issue with that. So I don't want people to look into that and worry too much about the terminology villain dinosaur. It doesn't necessarily have to be this evil monstrosity in the way that they often have been in the Jurassic franchise lately. It could be something much more naturalistic, and I do feel that's the direction the film is going in. So our third and final bits of information for today comes from Steve Broussat, who is a paleontologist and a dinosaur consultant for the Jurassic franchise, and he's been responding to a lot of people about Jurassic over the last few days, ever since the announcement. Some of it, like this one, is maybe not too interesting, but there's two interesting comments still to come. So this first one, when they say aquatic dinos in the official synopsis, do they mean the marine reptiles or actual aquatic dinos like the Spino? And Steve just says you'll have to wait and see. So we still don't know. I would suggest that people shouldn't look too much into the word dino, because they also talked about flying dinosaurs, and the chances are it's not a gigantic Microraptor or something like that. So I'm going to suggest it is an aquatic creature. That's not saying the Spino doesn't appear in some context. It could indeed be the Spinosaurus. It could be. Steve isn't giving anything away in this regard. However, more interestingly, Cole asked, are the dinosaurs consistent with the first 3 films, or are they keeping the Jurassic World aesthetics? Please tell me we have the JP3 Raptors back. Now, of course, we already know we have at least one returning Jurassic World aesthetic in the Parasaur. You'll need to wait and see. But Gareth and David have done some cool new stuff with the characters, I can assure you that. Now it says characters, I'm assuming he means dinosaurs in this context. So this is this and the next comment lead me to where I'm going to take you in the final little section of this video. Cool new stuff with the characters. Now, again, we're kind of extrapolating from that, but that to me means a new reinterpretation of existing dinosaurs, of existing characters. And of course, as already established, the Velociraptor is returning. So are we about to see a new generation of Velociraptor? And I think what we're going to see is a new version of the classic raptors, basically. And that makes this final comment really interesting. So UT Tyrant posted, I really hope they keep feathered dinosaurs, to Steve, and Steve liked the reply. Now that doesn't necessarily, like, I'm not saying that's confirmation, but I'm going to suggest it's pretty much confirmation. I would be very surprised if, after the very positive reaction that Dominion had to its feathered dinosaurs. So whilst this isn't direct confirmation, I think it's definitely very likely. It seems like a weird thing to like if it wasn't already going to be a thing, if there weren't going to be feathered dinosaurs. And also the nature of the franchise these days, I think definitely suggests feathered dinosaurs will be a thing. And of course, Dominion has been experimenting already with feathered villainous role sort of dinosaurs. We had the Pyroraptor in Jurassic World Dominion, which would have been cool if the skull wasn't the worst thing in human history. And of course, even better though, we had the Therizinosaurus, which was, generally speaking, a pretty great design and has proved immensely popular within the fandom. So my theory, extrapolating from that, and this is very speculative, but my theory, going off from all of this information, is that the villain from Jurassic World Rebirth is going to be a large Dromaeosaurid, a large feathered Dromaeosaurid. And I think the Utah Raptor from Jurassic World Evolution 2 is a fantastic example of the sort of style that creature would look. Something that's going to be much larger. I mean, the Velociraptors in Jurassic are already scaled up a lot. I think you could then scale them up even further for this large Dromaeosaurid. And there's a couple reasons I think this. The first is that We're in a jungle setting, so larger predators maybe aren't as suitable, especially given it seems like quite a tight jungle setting. You know, lots of dense forestry, we've got sort of caverns and caves and ruins and stuff like that. I think something a little bit smaller and a little bit more mobile than a gigantic theropod is maybe more suitable as an antagonist. And the second is just the vibe of the film, between the sort of back to basics approach, between the long grass we've seen, the ruins, and that sort of Mayan architecture. The film has a very, I keep using the word primal, but I think it's the best way to describe it, has a very primal kind of feeling. And I think a large feathered dromaeosaurid really suits that better than anything else. Feathers are classic in terms of like tribal headwear and stuff like that, so I think leaning into that for this primal feeling film, being hunted through the dark by this fully feathered beast, I just feel like that's a logical way for the film to go. As for the new iteration of the Velociraptors, this is an interesting idea. Game Videos for Life did a phenomenal Utahraptor mod for Jurassic World Evolution 2, where they skinned the Utahraptor to look like the original Jurassic Park trilogy Velociraptors, and as we go through these you'll see the Tiger Raptor, the original raptor, first up there, and then finally my beloved Jurassic Park 3 male Velociraptor, but fully feathered, and doesn't that look really cool? So again, I think that could be what they mean by a new take on those classic characters, you know, a way to modernize and update the Velociraptors, whilst maybe still harking back to their original design. A lot of this is wishful thinking because I want to see much more feathered dinosaurs, but it does seem like feathered dinosaurs are all but confirmed. It's interesting. It's interesting information to jump off from. I think we can speculate a lot from what we've heard about today. It all kind of seems to coalesce together to suggest these feathered dromaeosaurids, at least to me personally. You may have a different take on all the information, but that is all the information. So we've got feathered dinosaurs with a suspicious like. We've got a villain dinosaur, we've got velociraptors confirmed, we've got a parasaur corpse, and we've got a cool new stuff with the characters. And again, that suggests to me existing characters, not new characters. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. I promise we'll have some gameplay tomorrow. It's been a news week, it just has. But if you've enjoyed following the news about Jurassic World Rebirth here on the channel, please do throw me a like and a comment down below, and most importantly, remember to subscribe to the channel for all the latest information about the film. You know, I'm going to keep on top of it until the film comes out. I love this kind of stuff. Thank you for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.